All right, good day, hi, and welcome. Okay, so okay, round three didn't work quite as well. Yeah, I'll give you the view of the gloomy clouds in the park. Okay, so as I was saying in my last video, like I really would like to see people like the solutions are actually easier than we think. Low birth rates. Okay, simple solution: have babies, right? Uh, Loss of culture, simple solution: close the borders, kick the riffraff out, simple solution. But stuff like that. Loneliness epidemic. Okay, go talk to people. Don't overthink it. Just fucking do it, eh? And the thing but why is it so hard for people? You know what I mean? Like, why is it so hard for people to communicate? I guess that's the $64 million question, isn't it? So like somebody like me, I just talk to anybody and I'm like Foghorn Leghorn when I walk into the room. I'm just blabbing away because I don't know any better. But I make a lot of connections that way, and sometimes I meet somebody really interesting. And I've always said life is a series of boredom with random highlights, right? Just make the highlights really good. So when you are in a kind of like, okay, things are a little bit bored. Like I've been in a very boredom slump like everybody else. Since 2020, because, like a lot of things have disappeared and stuff like that. But I've also been filling that void with other things, Okay, in the material, it's like guitars and chainsaws. Okay, fine. But guys, I tell you, when I do a tree job and I do a tricky tree job and I pull it off, my ego goes through the roof. Yeah, it's all about me at that point. It's narcissism, I get it. But it makes me feel good about it. But then when somebody appreciates what I've done, they're like, I can't believe you are able to dislodge a tree out of another tree without dying. 20 feet in the air without dying with a chainsaw and a ladder, right? And, and you get admiration and stuff like that. And so it's like, okay, well, that's good. And then your name goes around and people, oh, I heard great things about you. When you run into somebody you haven't seen in a while, it's like, or you meet someone, it's, oh, yeah, my daughter knows you. She speaks highly of you. And it's like, they don't even know who I am. And then, they've heard my name. And they're like, oh, yeah, my daughter speaks highly of you. It's like, oh, really? Eh? Tell me more. Stuff like that. That little stuff like that kind of picks you up, like it keeps you going. Right? But if you don't reach out and, communicate with people, you never get there. And it doesn't take much to communicate. That's the whole thing. It's harder for people in the city because the city is so sterile and isolated. I know I lived in the city long enough to tell you, like you'd say, okay, how could anybody be lonely in a city? Like Ottawa is now over 1 million people. Okay, and I get on the city bus in the morning. I'd say, just out of habit, I'd just say good morning. Like my small townness comes out, right? So morning, the bus driver, right? Then suddenly you're talking to the bus driver. Then suddenly you're talking to the person here. There used to be this office lady, and a teacher girl this teacher I used to talk to her. She was freaking good looking too. Holy jeez. And another lady. We just sit there morning. Oh, what's new with you? And all small talk, whatever. It just made the ride a little bit more something you look forward to. Like it just wasn't, oh, okay, here's another ride to work. It's like, oh, at least you had a bit of chat. And because you'd see these people all the time, you might as well reach out, right? Just morning. Just start with morning. You'll be saying good morning to them for about 6 months before a chat actually starts up, right? Some people just try too hard, And there wasn't just the women I would say good morning to. I'd say good morning to the guys too, you know what I mean? Just be that person. I haven't been able to do the jam nights very often and stuff like that. But like doing the jam nights, that was more about socialization than anything. I go there and just, meet some really interesting people all the time, and then come back to my normal base of people that I'd see on a daily basis. So you get all your bases covered really, really, really quick, and then suddenly you're not thinking about yourself all the time. And I think that's 90% of people's problems. They just spend too much time thinking about me. Like, you can explain it many different ways. You can call it narcissism. You can call it, neurotic. You can call it, like there's a lot of neurotic people out there that, that goes without saying. But the echo chamber of your own head, I think, is a danger for most people. Not mine, because there's mostly tumbleweeds in there, but But then again, I express myself on the internet. You know what I mean? Okay, fine. It's the internet's the internet, right? But I have a community on there, and I know they're enjoying it. So I'm like, okay, well, I enjoy it too. Okay, but I don't spend all my life there. Like when this camera shuts off, I'm doing other stuff during the day. Like I'm in operation, clean everything up, and go get start like I'm in the winter kind of hibernation mode stuff, but like indoor work now. Who knows, maybe I might rebuild some chainsaws, might do some stuff. I might do some stuff. I got to put a gasket on that old 3.9 there, and if I get that thing running again, that'll be cool. Whatever. But the thing is that just getting out and about and dealing with people will take care of 90% of your whatever problems you think you have, anxiety, whatever. You get anxiety when you're not familiar, right? Like for me, I don't get anxiety because it's like I've always had that in relative to what kind of thing. It's like, okay, I'm in a crowd, okay, of a lot of people that I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous, blah, blah, blah. I don't get that. Why? Because yesterday I was in a tree 25 feet in the air with a chainsaw. If I'm going to get anxiety, I'm going to get anxiety there. You know what I mean? I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, perspective here. Okay, catastrophic life-ending, discombobulation, death possibility versus walking through a crowd of people. Perspective. Like I couldn't even build anxiety if I wanted to in a crowd of people because, okay, if it's a crowd of suicide bombers, maybe, okay, I'd have anxiety there. But in general, no, it's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. Why? Because I've got that in relative to what kind of mindset. Am I doing okay? Like, I don't have any money to go anywhere. So yeah, I bitch and whine about that all the time just because I bitch and whine about it. But it doesn't really get me down. Like the other day when I was in the music store, okay? First time I've been in the music store in a year. Well, second time, we'll say. Last time was when I picked up my drum kit before, last week, right? And I go in there, and there's a guy that I see once a year. I see him once a year, okay? And we just recognize each other, and I was talking to him for 45 minutes, half an hour. He used to own Mill Music, and he sold it out to Long McQuaid, which the new Long McQuaid in Renfrew, I highly recommend. You lucky bastards up in Renfrew. But go in there, and you're talking to people, and you're talking about this, talking about that. And even if you're not spending a lot of money or anything like that, it's just neat to, storm ideas with people. Like, you're not in your head. It's like, okay, well, I'm playing drums and I'm trying these sticks, and hey, maybe you want to try these because, and then, even if you're not interested in the drum stuff or the guitar stuff, it doesn't matter. Point is that you're now on a project mode. If I wanted to build my drum kit out this way, you'd have to do this and this, but I would recommend this. And suddenly you got a project, you got a mission, right? It's a meaningless mission. It doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but it means something to you. And this is what men need. They need. This is why guys go to the hardware stores, is to validate their mission. You know what I mean? I got to build something. I'm going to go to the hardware store, and I'm going to go pick something up, right? Because on your way there, you're thinking about how you're going to do this, build this thing this way, build this thing that way. The last thing you're thinking of is yourself, right? So, and then when you do build this, whatever it is you're building, and you sit back and you look at it, and others sit back and look at it, and you're like, you're proud of yourself. You know what I mean? I did that. I get this all the time when I go through my town because I see all the stuff that I've built myself, and worked on. I'm like, oh, that's cool to look at that building knowing I built that thing from the ground up. It's like, and you kind of in disbelief a bit, like the ego always kicks in, sure, but you're kind of in disbelief that you never thought you would do that much, but then you do that much, and it's like, okay, then what more can I do? You know what I mean? And that's what keeps you motivated. That's what keeps you going. And a lot of people don't focus on that. They're especially the video game guys. Like Like the formula for all the video game depressed guys is almost the same. It always involves weed. Yeah, but the weed calms me down for 5 minutes, and then your anxiety after, from the weed is basically called withdrawals. That's what it is. I don't have to be a drug expert to tell you this. I could just tell you from the people that I've seen do it. But, if you don't need it, anything that can be acted as a depressant, like energy drinks, they hype you up too much. Too much caffeine hypes you up too much. You got to kind of cut that stuff out. I know, I'm bad. I drink my Pepsis every day, but I drink 2. Yesterday I drank 1. Tomorrow I might drink 1. You know what I mean? And then throughout the winter I might drink 1 a week. You know what I mean? Like I change it up so that it's like I'm not dependent on it, right? Because that becomes the crutch. And the guys that are doing weed, that becomes your crutch. So I want to do something today, but instead I'm going to just sit here and smoke weed, and then you're all depressed because you didn't do anything, right? Now, I know that's not every guy that does it, but I really am anti-weed. I used to be neutral on it. It used to be, it's a harmless drug, blah, blah. But I've seen it wreck so many people. And what got me to change my mind on it was seeing the people that quit. And it's like 6 months later, they're not even the same person. They're like this super version of themselves. I'm like, good on them. You know what I mean? Like, good on them. I'm happy for. I'm never jealous of somebody doing better than me. Because there's always somebody that's going to be doing better than you. It'd be a waste of energy being, that guy has it all, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And that guy's, then you go listen to that guy. He's like, he's bitching about what he doesn't have. And I'm like, yeah, but you got more than me. And then the guy that he's bitching about, that he's jealous of, well, that guy's bitching about a guy that has more than him. And I'm like, it's fucking retarded. You know what I mean? Like, when you really think about it, like, why would you waste your energy on that? Just focus on you, not just, hyperbolic you, but like, okay, my mission, embrace my inner Beowulf and go out there and do something positive in my community. Now, if you live in the city, community is really a hard to find thing. So you have to find communities, even micro communities within modernity. Like in a small town, I live in the Shire. You know what I mean? Like, when you see Lord of the Rings, the Shire, like that's where I live. Like everybody, there's like 200 and some odd people, and then maybe about 1,500 cottagers surrounding us. Everybody gets along for the most part. It's nobody locks their doors. You know what I mean? People leave their cars running. They jump out of the car, the door's wide open, they leave it running, run in the store. Nobody's going to steal it. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a bit of riffraff here. There's some people you wouldn't trust. I wouldn't trust them holding your money. You know what I mean? But in general, it's a pretty high trust society, and that's what communities get you. So when you live in the city, that's one thing, like finding communities in the city is really hard because communities can't be built without familiarity. Meaning that little community you get on the morning bus, and you see those same 12 people every time you get on the bus. That's why you say good morning to them, right? So over time, you have this little bus community. Then when you get to work, you have your work people. That's another community, right? And you interact with that. Then after work, maybe you go. I used to do this like once a week ritual where I'd go and usually it was a Thursday night. I'd go watch live bands at the Heart and Crown, right? And I'd sit down, have a steak dinner, a pepper steak, because the Heart and Crown, they used to make the best pepper steak dinner. Out of a pepper steak dinner, a big glass of Hoegaarden. Go watch the band, maybe have 2 or 3 glasses of Hoegaarden for the night. That's it, 2 or 3 beers. Mind you, those things were the glasses were the size of pails, but 2 or 3 beers, it was a lot. It was a lot. But it was good. Like I'd come home buzzing, not completely sloshed, right? But have good time all the time. Sometimes you see the same people over, you get to know the bartenders, whatever. Okay, that was a community, but it was probably not the best place to be. In the sense that you're around alcohol all the time, right? And then, of course, I'd always go with my, my friends. We'd, like once, twice a month, we'd get together for a supper. And we do that and I've said this millions of times. Think about the best time in your life, and the question isn't going to be where were you, what were you doing. The question will pop into your head: who was I with? And that explains why you need to get out of your own head and reach out and stuff like that. And I know it's hard for people with no self-confidence and stuff like that. That's why we're going to go back to my metals teacher, Mr. Mazzaros. And I'm going to tell you guys again, I know you guys have been following for years. You're already saying it out loud, and that's good. You know, that's good, right? I'm going to say it. He was right. He always said, make eye contact with people when you talk to them, or you'll become a weirdo. And the other things he would say is, shut up. That's nice. Just shut up. He was an influential teacher. If it was just for that one thing, he was a Hungarian guy there. This guy, you should have seen this guy. Oh, he was a very smart man though. He was brilliant. He was brilliant when it came to metals and stuff like that. And he didn't put up with too much shit, and we gave him a lot of shit. We were razzing him all the time. But he was a good guy. He was a really good guy. I liked him. But when he would blow his top, man, it was pretty funny. He'd be yelling at you. Like he had no qualms about yelling at you and calling you names and stuff. Oh, we deserved it. We deserved it. But, you know, but at the end of the day, it was good. I remember when he retired, oh, sir, I'm going to miss you. He goes, I'm not really going to miss you guys, but I hope I taught you something. You know what I mean? And still to this day, I'm like, he was dead serious about that. I'm sure he was dead serious. But no, he did teach us something, so that was good. And maybe I can teach you guys something. There's a lot of broken men out there that can shift that. You know, you don't have to be broken all your life. The MGTOW thing, it's a waste of time. Don't worry about it. They're going on about the symptoms of the problems of society. Feminism is absolutely a waste of time. Ladies, get rid of it. Kick it out of your life. Burn it. Destroy it. Get rid of it. You don't need it. All men and women have to do is rebind the two-step together, and that can be done through communication. The question is, where do we find people? No, that's not the question. The question is, when you meet people, what do? This is where you start with the small talk. Good morning. You know, whatever. And you go from there. So anyway, the solution is a lot easier than we're making it. You know, but there's a lot of people that love wallowing in their own misery too. Like they love being lonely. They you know, because they're afraid. You know, your brain rewires to whatever you adapt to. If you're fearless, you're always fearless. If you're a coward, you're always a coward. But when you overcome something, you build new neurons, you know, in your brain. Things will fuse. It's just you have to use it. You know what I mean? So when you run into somebody, you know, male, female, like just hello. You know, don't overthink it. Just keep it simple. You know. And after a while, like I say, just doing two things. Well, for guys, you got to make eye contact. For women, don't make eye contact with a man unless you're interested in him, because they'll take that as interest subconsciously. It's an instinct thing. It's not a chauvinist thing. It's just an instinct thing. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, but you know, don't be afraid to talk to people, especially in these times, because we are heading into some pretty nasty times. We're already in it. So life is what you make of it. So anyway, there you go. That's all I got for today.